So Casper, what is going on with Casper? Let's give you the tokenizer report, because you know what? This guy is the GOAT of deep dives, and like not just on one token, everything, right? This guy's literally the GOAT when it comes to this. All right. So he talks about IPW. When it comes to Casper, IPW is always going to get brought up at some point. WASM, everything, you know? IPW's CEO, Leanne Pinto, making big moves. How so? Well, on November 21st, the World Intellectual Property Organization, the WIPO, what a name. Hungry WIPOs. Anyway, they held an IP finance event with 10 plus speakers discussing on the expansions of IP values. Okay, you got my attention. The WIPO's one of 15 specialized agencies is by the UN. Now that should catch your attention. Casper, building with only the best. And here's a little bit more about that. So I'm going to pull this up for a second. Let's see if that's big enough for you guys. If it ain't, I'm going to blow it up a little bit more. Nah, it's not big enough for you guys. So let's go ahead and pull this up. Pull it up on the other screen. All right. So here it is, nice and big. And why is it not sharing that? There we go. There we go. Now you guys see it. So here's the report. We are excited to do what? To announce that IPW CEO Leanne Pinto would be speaking, like we said, at the World Intellectual Property Organization, the WIPO, IP Finance Dialogue, expanding horizons on IP finance and valuation, of course, on November 21st. They already came and gone, but if you're wondering what happened there, it was a hybrid event to bring together industry leaders, policymakers, entrepreneurs, investors to find ways forward to unlock the financial potential of intellectual property, IP, and other intangible assets. Now, I believe we also had like our three there, Quants, Gilbert Verdian, Martin Hargreaves. There's some other big players at that particular event. Getting more into this, it says IP Finance Dialogue, expanding horizons on IP finance and valuation. Your main key takeaway should be a lot of big players were there to join up at this quote-unquote hybrid event in Geneva, Switzerland. Kind of funny how people that are part of standards go to Geneva, Switzerland, as we know in the past, especially when it comes to the Geneva Convention, the war on, or actually not the war, but the rule book on warfare, right? Not a lot of countries, unfortunately, follow that, as we know. But interesting that it would be there, right? Especially when it comes to standards. So Tokenizer obviously has a few things that, you know, we're going to get into, but I thought I'd point that out first. And if anything, I'll check out a review from that later. Probably give it to you guys like next week. Get to some of the highlights. But getting more into this from Tokenizer, he goes into some real good in-depth detail here. Number one, he says in a recent Nucleus Finance case study, they hint at state government client using smart financial contracts on Casper. And I want to state this. Anything tied to the government in that regard, especially with this, at such a low market cap, why aren't you paying more attention to Casper, right? I don't mean that as like me lashing out at you guys, but I'm just saying in general, if you're looking for, you know, projects that are like got that blue chip feel to them, but that are also maybe no longer part of the top 100, but are just right there at that cusp of being, you know, top 100, that have solid utility and they're doing a lot for the future, especially for 2024, 2025, and that path towards mass adoption. Look at the market cap of Casper. Look at the price per token or coin of Casper. You'll be impressed on how big of a bag you can get at these particular prices. Even yet. So the specific government oversees 38 million citizens and a GDP, which we know is gross domestic product, of $163 billion. Tokenizer says here is basically why he thinks it may be the advancements on Telangana Smart City Partnership. Now, you know where I'm going with this. You guys know I talk you guys' heads off when it comes to JASMY, smart cities, and Society 5.0. Casper definitely needs to get an honorable mention in regards to this. How so? again, Telangana Smart City Partnership. As the document states, according to Tokenizer, the statistics on specific state government, the next obvious thing would be to have a thing where you can connect the statistics to a respective state. Does that not sound bullish to you? Here are Telangana's, excuse me, I'm not pronouncing it right, statistics. 38.2 million. They bring in a GDP of 186 billion. Not bad. I mean, it's not in the trillions, but still not bad. Numbers aren't quite exact, but when you're calculating constantly changing numbers like population size, gross domestic product, you can, of course, expect 100% accuracy. And I will agree with that statement. Additionally, we've seen Mrinal connect with J.S. Ranjan, who oversees the technical departments in the state of Telangana. The goal of the partnership they formed during the time they connected at Davos of 2022 was to build a public permission Casper for Telangana. While in the initial concept was focused on the implementation of just that IT infrastructure, it would seem like it advanced into the fintech space. Let me show you just a little bit more about this. Telangana is one of the top 9 states, I should say, in India. This could be quite a promising partnership on the adoption of Casper for governmental development. Yes, very true. Even with our JASMY coverage, we talk about, for instance, why did it switch that? I don't know. We talk about when it comes to budget, Bangladesh, some other countries, India, right? So we understand that there's always the case of not just IT, the IoT, smart cities. It's not just exclusive to one particular region of the world. Even India is all over this. So while there's no 100% confirmation on whether this is truly Telangana, if anything, the evidence seems to support it. But we simply put the pieces together, just like me. I do the same thing. And this is where we reverse engineer where Casper has firmly connected with all this. Though there is still the possibility that this is a completely new state government that Casper has been in talks with, this would be even more bullish, especially for you as a Casper holder or you guys who are thinking about getting into Casper, because it shows an additional state government's interest in, of course, the Casper network. And that in itself is a big deal because you get one state. What about another? What about another one after that? What about other countries? While Nucleus Finance may seem like it's a small-scale startup on the outside, having both Casper and Ariadne, if I pronounce that right, not only collaboratively built on Nucleus, but this is going to leverage, of course, the Actis Foundation. And we know that Actis always stands out when it comes to Casper because it directly is a huge benefit. And here's some highlights I'm going to get into before we kick it into the next part of what we have. This is good stuff. This is really good research from Tokenizer. I always appreciate this guy's research. Guy's brilliant, man. I mean, he's like 23 years old, I think it is. He had a birthday yesterday. He stated that on his birthday, instead of going out celebrating his birthday, he did research. How cool is that? And when he was on a show last time with us, which I think was like early this year or maybe it was last year, I can't remember. His last previous birthday, he also did the research. So, I mean, shout out to Tokenizer. All right, look at this for a second. Nucleus Finance, faster, more secure factor payments through tokenized invoices on the blockchain. Last particular deep dive video on Casper, I specifically talked about some of this stuff. So about our client is a state government with a population of 38 million and gross domestic product of 163 billion US dollars. Look at this for a second. Nucleus Finance Solution. Producer P sells a product or service to company C for credit and raises the invoice. The payment date is in 1 month. Think about this for a second. A lot of you guys deal with invoice, especially when it comes to your business. P then records the invoice, in a smart financial contract and tokenizes the asset and liability sides of the contract. In the future, we'll have implementation of auto distribution of on-chain payments, which basically speaking, you will see how they're enabled based on asset token holdings of just that. different investors. The tokenization of invoices, when we talk about NFTs, like you can have tokenized NFTs in the form of an invoice, utility in motion. Now, why Nucleus Finance? Just real quick. Some of you guys know this, some of you don't, and that's okay. Nucleus Finance brings active standard natively to the Casper blockchain. Right, we want that. This next-gen factoring process standardizes cash flow calculations. Previous particular slide where we talk about this particular event that happened on November 21st, talking about specifically standards. And if anything, not just Casper being part of the mix, your quant networks and so on at that big event, because again, they all get together and realize regulations is coming. What standards do we have in place? And what working groups are part of those standards? ISO TC 307 for one in regards to quant. Now, in conclusion, I want to state this before we wrap up the Casper coverage. Basically, it's like this. Why is this so, significant? That's what I'd be asking if I was you. Some of this seems like it's Greek, and I can't blame you. I always try to put myself in the shoes of a brand new person that's watching the show. So for one, if you weren't aware of it, Casper, as in CSPR is the ticker symbol, is a quote-unquote like a cryptographically secure pseudo-random number generator. Sounds crazy, right? But Actis, on the other hand, if you wonder what that stands for Advanced Cryptographically Secure Tweakable Block Cipher. Jeez, what a mouthful, right? Say that like 3 times fast. But the two are cryptographic algorithms, and they are considered to be significant for a number of reasons. Now I'm going to get into all the reasons. There's a lot. Again, these shows are called Do Your Own Research. What really stands out are these 3 things. So pay attention to this instead of pogo sticks and Caroline. For one, security. As Sean the Crypto Smith has always mentioned, you have to have security before you have utility. Very true. Casper and Actis are both considered to be very secure algorithms. Cool. Casper is a PRNG. No, not a PIMP. And, I don't know what you heard about me like 50 Cent. PRNG, which means that it can generate a long sequence of just that, random numbers that are difficult, of course, to predict. Actis, on the other hand, is a TBC. It means that it can encrypt and decrypt data very securely. Both algorithms, to take away from all the Greek we just gave you, have been subjected to rigorous analysis by cryptographers, I should say, and have been found to be resistant to known attacks. I like that, especially when it comes to proof of stake, because you guys understand when it comes to proof of stake, there's all sorts of people who are saying proof of work is so much more secure than proof of stake. Yes and no, but a lot of people mention that, and this is one of the things that people have, of course, criticized Casper about. But Casper stands out a little bit more compared to other proof of stakes. All right, what about the efficiency of this? So both Casper and Actis both have very efficient algorithms. Casper, for one, can generate random numbers, like I mentioned, and also Actis can encrypt and decrypt. We said that. But this makes them suitable for a wide range of applications. And when you hear more about this, this is cool. dApps equal more adoption. More adoption of actual, decentralized applications means more of that utility in motion. Say what you want. If you look more into Casper, they're already building a whole bunch of dApps. And this includes security protocols, random number generation, and of course, data encryption in regards to efficiency. What about this real quick? Versatility. This is the final major thing I want to get into for a second. Casper and Actis, both versatile algorithms, true. But you got to keep in mind that when it comes to Actis, it can be used to encrypt and decrypt data in a variety of applications. So when we have all those dApps kicking in and so on, you got to have some kind of, method of being able to decrypt that as well. And it includes secure communications. Listen to this, because we talked about Filecoin earlier, data storage, and even digital signatures. Now, in conclusion, while Casper is like basically the concept of a one-way function, seems like it, right? You have to keep in mind that this function sometimes is easy to compute, but it seems like difficult to invert. Hence why you have Actis to complement it. Actus is based on the concept of a tweakable block cipher, which is a type of block cipher that can be used to encrypt and decrypt data with a variable length key. Now, sounds kind of Greek, just bear with me. But the bottom line is Casper and Actus working together are so significant because you have the security, the efficiency, and it's versatile. And bottom line is this: it will be used in a wide range of applications, and even ones that are not directly on chain with this. And we given some people examples in regards to can you pay for things that are on ETH? And that lady, the CEO, can't think of her name right now. Prayat, I can't remember her name, but you know who she is. She gave examples of Casper can get the job done without even having to do the whole thing of specific, recoding of the contract and so on. When I hear things of that nature, it makes me think of like Quant, for instance. Being able to provide anything that's going to be seamless, or as the saying goes, future proof, which devs can come in, build, and kind of like move on, not have to jump through so many hoops. That's game changer. This thing is only roughly 3.5 cents. Look more into it if you haven't done so already.